Chuck has got his thumb on the heartbeat of all our butts. He writes like sidereal erotica. You're getting fucked by concepts. I wonder how much money Chuck Tingle spends on the stock photos he uses for his covers. Because he always has these incredibly hot models. He's gotta have like a gold account on stock.img.
Anyway, this is a podcast.
This is Bonus Experience.
Yeah, this is a podcast that our live audience is tuned into. We are...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You gonna do it, or am I gonna do it?
Bonus Experience is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Bling, boo doo 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 doo.
We're a podcast with a deeper look at the play experience and the finer details of running and writing games.
We are queer women speaking with authority about games.
And we swear.
Die mad about it.
I'm Monica, who did not taunt a mod on a Discord today, but certainly encouraged it from afar.
I was gentle and it was funny.
It was fucking hysterical.
I'm Ray and I got a warning from the moderator. Listen, if you don't want to play a dragon who fights God, you might consider you might be a square. I'm just saying. Welcome to our genre series.
Yeah. This is our brand new genre series.
We're going to talk about genre.
Yeah. This is going to be a lot more focused on the running and writing games part. So we probably aren't going to be delving too much into mechanical design discussion, though I managed to squeeze it in somewhere because then I don't have as much to say.
Yeah, I got a hair up my ass about this one.
It's cool because we're gonna do a technical aspects set, and then that's just gonna be me talking. So it's your turn. It's your turn. It's cool. But we might get into that. You never know. Today's genre focus is the punk, and I just made air quotes, which is great audio.
The punk. You have to do like the pause to leave room for the quotes.
Yes. The punk genre. Steampunk, cyberpunk, dreadpunk, dieselpunk, atompunk, desertpunk, hogpunk, genderpunk, and other made-up things. Also, I get to ask the questions today.
Yeah, this is mostly me, like, just going off on a tear and getting the literary theory on everybody.
It's cool. I'm gonna let you. That's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you're not punk, and I'm telling everyone. So
what? Don't tell anyone. Please.
How about we start by defining what the fuck punk even means?
All right, let's talk punk. I'm gonna speak with authority on this, even though my only authority is I'm an English major, and my husband was in a punk band in like his 20s and part of this punk subculture. So that's my in there. Right. Punk represents a break from the status quo. Punk is a really specific fuck you to a range of popular concepts. A punk setting is usually sticking it to something. The system, the establishment, or the man, or other things that like have a capital letter in them. Punk also has a really definitive style. Who just joined us?
Terry. Hi, Terry.
Hey, Terry! We won't hear you if you say hello, but hello, welcome. Welcome to the live audience. We're talking about punk.
Keep going.
Punk also has a really definitive style across its different subgenres. It lends itself to the unexpected, and especially the homemade or the do-it-yourself. But that said, punk is not just an aesthetic. Steampunk, I'm making hard, uncomfortable eye contact with you. putting Putting gears on shit isn't punk. If you're underpaying the orphan who swept your chimney and terrorizing the colonies that grew your tea. I don't care if you're the First Lady Airship Admiral or whatever the fuck. If you're in the aerial navy, you're a part of the military-industrial complex, which sure as shit isn't punk.
Also, if you're just putting gears on shit and not thinking about terrorizing the colonies and underpaying the orphans, that's a little dangerously white supremacist, I'm just saying.
I would love to see a hardcore
like
punk,
a real punk steampunk?
Like little S big P. Yeah. I think that would be amazing. But mostly what I see is people who like to dress up, which is fine and fun, but it ain't punk. You're just, I don't know what you would call it.
I mean,
Steam prep?
Yeah, I don't know what you would call the aesthetic. The, pseudo-Victorian brown color scheme.
This is alternate history at that point. It's not really punk.
And there's nothing... I don't think either of us have anything against, the costuming or the fashion.
Oh, no.
Or the aesthetics.
Especially not from Monica's side. You probably have a lot of, a deep respect for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm any sort of cool fashion, I'm down with. Though I would, if I were to go to a steampunk, air quotes around the punk festival, would probably lean more towards a dreadpunk outfit than a steampunk one. They're related.
See, that'd be fucking
good.
We'll
get into that later.
Yes.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So you wrote this question. And I'm going to ask it as is.
Yeah, thank you.
Why are there so many kinds of punk, and what are the objectively coolest kinds?
Oh, thank you for asking, Monica. What a great question. The answer is cyberpunk. Don't at me.
We'll get into this.
You're going to at me, though, aren't you?
I am.
Cyberpunk was the first literary punk genre, or the first to be recognized. It came out of the sci-fi new wave in the 60s and 70s, which was also around the time that punk rock was just getting its piercings. And cyberpunk actually started as a reaction to Joseph Campbell's monomyth idea, which I think makes this the second fuck you to Joseph Campbell that I didn't know about until I started this podcast. The other punk genres are all widely considered to be derivative of cyberpunk, which at first was actually going to be called Neuromantics after Neuromancer, as a play on romantics, the new romantics, which I like, but also
cool.
I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck would be calling everything.
We should call them steam romantics.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay, all right. I'll write that letter. I'll send it off to my senator. Okay. Monica.
What? Yeah.
What do you think is the coolest kind of punk?
What do I think is the coolest kind of punk? It's dread punk. Fight me.
It's dread punk? Is it dread punk? Will you please explain dread punk, because I actually had never heard of it before.
Okay. It was actually, I saw an article linked about it, and there's one article linked about it as defined by the people who consider themselves the writers of the genre, so it's sort of a new thing, sort of like hope punk, which we'll also get into later, that is steampunk if it were actually punk, and the punk parts were focused on women's issues, or the underclass thing. That's all punk things, really. And instead of being strictly about technology, which steampunk is sort of about the advent of the steam engine and how gears and steam and all that changed things, or at least should be if it were punk and not romantic, and it replaced that with magic and necromancy and alchemy and weird strictly supernatural shit, so ghosts, so
mysteries,
yes,
as opposed to
so
knowledge.
There's a bunch of authors identify themselves as this, and I'll try to find that article because it's the only one out there, and if I Google dreadpunk, I'll find it, and we'll get that for our show notes or whatever.
Yeah,
we ever actually do show notes.
Sometimes.
But I would file Malifaux under dreadpunk, really. The same with Through the Breach, the associated role-playing game. Fallen London, Dishonored, and Blaze in the Dark.
So almost like a little bit of cosmic horror kind of dripped into there too. All right, I like that.
I mean, there's a Venn diagram, I think.
Because I know cosmic horror is very, you can't possibly fight it because you're so insignificant, and I know the things you just named are a little more along the lines of how do you fight it? Like, how do you survive? As opposed to, you can't! Let's see how you can't!
Yeah,
I'm not as into the cosmic horror.
This is like steampunk, but actual punk, and also black instead of brown. I'm low-key goth.
Dave says dreadpunk is steampunk without the gears.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, there can be gears, but it's not as focused on the gears.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also black instead of brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Black instead of brown. I also like I'm interested to hear about, like, dreadpunk. And I know earlier for one of our guest episodes, we were talking about radium punk.
Mm-hmm.
I like the rare punk subgenres that are basically like, there's two people writing for this. I think that there's nothing more punk than a couple people going, fuck it, we've got our own thing. Yeah. So I like things like desert punk. Mm-hmm. I do really like diesel punk, which isn't as rare anymore because there's actually like full-length feature films that go very diesel punk. But desert punk, I think it's just like Trigun and I think Mad Max, maybe you could say Mad Max is desert punk, although I think it's again more diesel punk, but without the deco. I don't know. I Trigun got me into desert punk.
Trigun is also very much a space western.
Yes, but not as. But see, it doesn't take place in space as much.
No, it takes place on a particular planet.
In a planet that's completely covered in desert, so it's also kind of desert punk.
Yeah, I mean, the desert doesn't have to be on Earth.
I guess not, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to make a game based on that sort of desert punk-ish space western idea. Based on, like, Trigun, like a little bit of Outlaw Star. You know, have you seen Cannon Busters on Netflix, the new show?
No, but I keep hearing about it.
It's basically a modern love letter to Trigun, Outlaw Star, and there's a third one, and Cowboy Bebop. And all the characters, or at least the majority of the characters, are black.
Oh, for real?
For real. Like, it was a collaboration with a black creator.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah, so...
I mean, you had me at, like, it's the new space western.
Right.
I'm gonna go fucking check it out.
So yeah, it would be really cool to do a game like that. That seems like that would be really fun. More on that later.
Yeah!
Alright, you wanna go on about Hope Punk?
You did mention Hope Punk.
I did.
And I have a whole section here about Hope Punk.
You
okay,
did.
So Hope Punk, right? It's this new thing. Hope Punk. Hope Punk. I'm really glad I got that pop screen.
Yeah.
Hope Punk. The word started getting thrown around and people had this immediate reaction to it of hope alone doesn't do anything, so Hope Punk must be stupid. I have a lot of very strong feelings about this, as I have strong feelings about cyberpunk and steampunk. So, little backstory. Punk, at its roots, like in the 70s, was often a reaction to the, like, naivete and idealism that reigned in the 60s, like all the hippie shit. The 60s promised a lot of things would get better if you just loved everyone, and by the 70s and 80s, basically everything had gotten worse. So punk was wild and rebellious, where the 60s were hopeful and naive. So, yeah, in the beginning, hope was not punk. Punk was a reaction to hope doesn't get you anywhere, you have to take direct action. But now, in a post-punk world, we have lived through the waves of cynicism and salt in the 90s and the aughts. We're living through the heat death of capitalism right now. There's a lot of popular media that's all high on its horse about how things are grim and depressing, and that makes them intellectual. Or things that are accurate, for some reason, happen to have more violence and rape and racism in them. So, the grim dark, right? The grim dark is where it's, like, at. Hope Punk is supposed to be the exact, like, polar opposite, basically, to grim dark. It's the punk response to all this awful, it has to be terrible to be accurate shit. Hope Punk is the response to nothing ever gets better no matter what, so don't resist and just be mean. Hope and direct action and optimism are all, like, rolled into one, and now that is considered resistance, whereas before, punk was the resistance to hope. If you need, like, a good primer or just summed up in, like, one sentence, the pacifist route to Undertale is Hope Punk. Oh, we should probably do the mid-episode break.
Probably should.
I'm gonna take a break.
All right, me too.
Can I have some chips?
Yeah, you can have some chips.
No, I'm out of LaCroix, though.
Better go. We'll get one out of the fridge.
If I go down there, the puppy's gonna see me. And
I meant the one that's in the break room. I was making a joke. Anyway.
Jokes.
Jokes. Wasn't a very good one. BXP and the mid-episode break room are brought to you by the Misdirected Mark Network.
Bing!
Become a BXP patron. If you are, you could be listening to this right now. I mean, you are listening to this right now, but you could be listening to it live and listening to us screw up, eat chips, and fuck around for 20 minutes.
Yeah!
Listen, I'm not going to read all of this stuff. $1 gets you a ton of shit.
Just $1.
Yeah.
You get our Discord, you can hang out with us, do
Yep.
the live audience thing,
Yep.
you get mini episodes,
Yep.
and you also get the extended cuts.
Yep.
It's great.
Extended cuts. Yeah, you get a ton of stuff for $1. $12
Give me
a year. Yeah.
Give me $1.
Give us both $1. God.
Give me 50 cents. I want to get a honey bun from the vending machine.
Misdirected Mark has a forum now. You can go and sign up and post dumb things on the BXP sub forum. Margaret lurks there apparently. She made an account. She took our email to do it. We don't keep tabs on her anymore.
She's like a stray cat.
Yeah, she comes and goes. And occasionally
come out, she's under the car. It's like, oh no, Margaret, did you have a rough night? Come on in, I'll get you some food.
Also, coming this fall, you can look forward. What was that? What was that sound effect I was trying to do?
I don't know. I was into it.
Margaret cut that out. You can expect all kinds of new shows on the MMP Twitch channel, including a BXP stream, which will include games run by Danielle Ozon, co-league and friend of the show. Co-league? Good fucking God. Danielle Ozon, colleague and friend of the show.
Okay, that's not going to count because you were laughing through the whole thing. If you really wanted me to cut co-league.
Including a BXP stream of games run by Danielle Lozon, colleague and friend of the show. We have a lineup of 12 queer RPG creators willing to game with us. You can look forward to...
Who can say why?
I mean, people like us for reasons I don't understand. BXP Bicons is coming soon. And if you like BXP, you'll love this Misdirected Mark show. Alt-tabbing quickly over to the other page. Pandas Talking Games. Pandas Talking Games. Pandas Talking Games. Our buddies, Phil and Senda, answer your questions about RPGs from the perspective of one-shots and campaigns with some panda silliness.
We're going to see them at Metatopia, right?
We are going to see them at Metatopia.
We got to make sure that we can set up a karaoke night.
We do.
Also, like Rock Band or something.
If you're flying in and you're flying into Newark, they're probably the ones picking you up.
Oh, hell yes!
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like Phil and Senda a lot. All right.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
I think I got most of my salt out of me.
Did you?
Yes.
You sure?
I think I'm done being salty about punks.
Okay. All right. Back to the show.
Yeah, let's get on it. Let's get on with it.
All right, so Ray was salty. She thinks she's done now. It was just you being real mad about steampunk and then being mad about people not liking hope punk. So let's talk about some punk games that we could actually play.
Yeah, obvious answer, Cyberpunk 2020. It's got it right there in the name. I have zero experience with it, though.
I love that you put it at the top of your recommendations, a game that you've never played.
It's got punk right in the name. If you want to play a Cyberpunk game, maybe you play the one that's called Cyberpunk. But that said, maybe don't play it.
Go on.
I've heard all sorts of mixed reviews about the tabletop game itself, and then I've heard some of the writers of the video game say some shit that's not so great. So, you know, it might be a product of its time. It might be that it hasn't really like aged or been updated so great.
CD Projekt Red, the producers of the video game, they're garbage. Don't support them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our Telesaurian, the people who made the tabletop RPG, are, as far as I know, not garbage.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Good to know that somebody's not garbage.
Yeah. I don't really know a lot about them, but they've as far as I am aware, have not received any sort of public attention for being shitty. So, cool.
Okay.
So I can't...
This is all us covering our ass for, like, play Cyberpunk. Wait, maybe don't play Cyberpunk.
I mean, I can't say that I support the video game in good conscience.
Yeah, not until I can see some effort in not being, like, transphobic, racist garbage.
Right, yeah. So maybe stick with the pen and paper game. Support a black-owned business.
Yeah.
I will say that their designs are pretty firmly in the early 2000s, because I bought a copy of The Witcher RPG, which they also produced for my girlfriend, and then I watched her head explode slowly at the very early 2000s design that game has.
Tables everywhere.
That's a topic for another time. So, that might be a deal breaker for you. And it might not be. That's fine. I'm not, that's not a qualitative decision. It just may be crunchier than people want.
Right.
Right.
Speaking of another crunchy answer, Shadowrun.
Oof. Go on.
Just go on.
You have a bunch of other stuff here.
Shadowpunk has a really cool setting.
I want to play Shadowpunk.
Shadowrun. Shadowrun is basically William Gibson with the serial numbers filed off and dwarven runes written in place of them. The setting is cool as hell, but you can't get me anywhere near the system. It's I really hope the new edition makes it easier for me to play, because I would love to give it a try, but Shadowrun is still the only, like, RPG book that I've actually returned.
Yes, I'm cupping my hand around my ear for this very visual medium. Yes, I love the setting, but I can't stand the system. What is that? The Exalted Effect, yes.
The Exalted Effect. Mm-hmm. Monica, have you played this Sprawl? I want to play the Sprawl.
I haven't, no. But no, but Hamish Cameron, who I almost called Camish Hammerin, from our Dinosaur Princesses episode, he wrote it. And
Hamish
Hammerin of Dinosaur Princesses. Sorry, Hamish. So sorry. He wrote it. They've been on our show, so all of us should buy it and play it and give it a try. I know it's a PBTA hack, so it's got that going for it.
Let's fucking play the Sprawl when we're done with Lady Blackbird.
Okay.
I know that we have, like, a billion other ideas, but let's also play the Sprawl.
We'll put it on the list. We need to, like, actually keep playing we need to finish Lady Blackbird. How about we finish Lady Blackbird and then we'll play something else?
Silence now. Only dreams. While we're talking about Powered by the Apocalypse World, depending on how you portray your setting and your tech, Apocalypse World could be any number of punk subgenres. It's like 100% punk.
Yo, it is punk as fuck. This is maybe the most
punk as fuck.
Punk as fuck. It's maybe the most punk thing we've talked about.
Also, Monster Hearts. Monster Hearts is a subgenre that you could maybe call monster punk, or definitely myth punk, which is a genre that exists. It's got young adults rebelling and monstrous topics and queer themes, so I would just fucking throw that all under the myth punk blanket right there.
Okay.
A lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games are pretty punky. I wonder if the system itself could be described as punk.
I mean, I'm gonna talk about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, that's my last question.
Oh, I still have one more. God, I wrote so much.
You wrote so much.
Why did I make so much work for myself?
I don't know. We're only at 35 minutes, so I'm actually pretty impressed, given that
keeping it tight.
Given that we fucked around a whole bunch. All right, so when running a game or trying to make a game feel more punk, what are some things to keep in mind?
Okay, so if we're talking about, like, feel.
Yeah.
Like setting and themes.
Yeah.
Remember that punk positions itself against a system it considers oppressive. So you want to consider that your players are fighting against some capital E entity with all the capital P power, which that could be the rule of a mega corporation, or it could be a dictatorial theocracy, or it could be or it could be a pervasive ideology.
Hmm.
That to be a certain way is wrong. Or it could be like all of those wrapped up into one thing. Punk conflicts lie in trying to buck the control a system has over you and yours. It's like a decolonization of your body, of okay. This is the literary theory episode. I gotta all right. Punk tends to be visualized as youthful rebellion, like big old quote marks, but it doesn't have to be young. It's more like marginalized or disenfranchised. Punk is rebellion by those who've been ignored and mistreated. So encourage playing characters that have been cast aside for some reason or have lost something important or otherwise couldn't operate from positions of power within your setting. The least important theme, but still good to keep in mind, is the aesthetics of punk. Punk is surprising and subversive, and it makes good use of whatever flavor the blank is in blank punk, in the punk of your choosing. If you're just skipping the first couple of things I said and jumping straight to, oh boy, how cool would it be if everyone wore fishbowls and hoops and silver lame, could I just call that Atom Punk? Then you need to go back to the beginning and listen to this episode again.
TLDR, punk, be gay, do crimes?
Yes, be gay, do crimes.
Since you did all the talking and I did all the questions previously, Tag, you're it. This is my turn.
Hey, Monica,
yes.
What are some possible rule applications? How do you make a system feel punk? How do you create that experience?
Okay, well, the game design question is always, how do I create the experience I want? Yeah. That is literally the whole thing. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's all of game design, and it's really fucking hard.
Yeah, so will you do that for me in, like, the next 10 minutes?
I won't, but I will. But I will instead highlight some good examples of existing mechanics or game structures that help make things feel punk. How's that?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, cool. So first on the list is fronts from Apocalypse World. Like, fronts create a sense of scarcity. They establish the threats that are surrounding your characters to begin with.
Right, they actually, like, encourage you to start from the sense of scarcity,
correct.
Right? Like, a front is, okay, what do they want? What do they lack?
Right, what do they want? What do they lack? Like, what is the conflict? And, like, it gives you a pretty strong way to already start your characters not in a position of power, to be possibly on the receiving end of perhaps some sort of greater oppression, like, all that sort of... Fronts are a great way to basically create that tension between, like, being oppressed or being marginalized or being, underclass or whatever. Like, fronts are great for that.
Right.
Also, Apocalypse World's playbooks include ambiguous and transgressing as options straight up on the playbook.
Oh yeah, they don't... Yeah, there's like, okay, what's your look? And it's not specifically your gender, it's what's your look. And then it'll be like, man, woman... ambiguous, androgynous,
right.
Concealed.
Concealed, yeah. So, like, from the things that you can pick for your character, I saw motion out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, what is going on? Is the cat trying to get in the room?
We're under attack!
Right. Well, it was very weird to see a paw just, like, slide in between the door, just, like, in my peripheral vision. It was very creepy. My cat is adorable, but she creeped me out for a hot second there.
Mother, let us in, mother.
Mother. Yeah, so, like, from your character creation options, you're encouraged to be queer and to be different, you know?
It's just right up in there.
Blades in the Dark's tier system, and, like, going to war being a terrible thing for your gang. Oh, I'm from the Midwest now. I can't talk.
Oh, it's so bad for your gang.
Yeah. Going to war being really shitty for your crew, and the position, and on the tier system. So, like, if you're going up against the entire police force, the Bluecoats, and you're a starting level gang, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't just overthrow the government from day one. You have to build up to that.
Right.
Because of the way the tier system works, which ranks organizations from 1 to 5.
Right, and Blades also has the idea of, what's it called? Zero effect? Is that what it's called? where you can say, I want to attempt insert impossible action here. And the DM has the option to say, okay, well, that's going to be from a desperate position with no effect.
Right, yeah. So that's the positioning system, which is separate from tiers themselves.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. You're going to talk about that.
But they go together. The positioning system is like a desperate effect or whatever. So, like, if you were in a desperate position, no matter how well you roll, it's still probably going to end poorly for you. And, like, you can adjust it with abilities or by spending stress, and, like, the stress mechanic is also really great for giving that, like, kind of grungy feel that sometimes punk has. Blades would be a terrible system for playing a Hope Punk game, but Blades is a fantastic system for playing a Dread Punk game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Characters in Blades, unless they are my Blades character from our monthly Wednesday game in particular, are kind of low-powered. They aren't particularly superhumanly capable, unless you are my character in particular, which is mostly a combination of me rolling really well. But at the same time... But at the same time...
At the same time, the way Blades is set up, if you roll one die, you have a 50-50 chance of success.
Yeah.
So there's always this chance of, like, you might do it, so you should try.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also kind of a punkish kind of a thing. Like, there's always a chance, why don't you try it?
And even if you're down to one die, you can always push yourself for a greater effect. And risk that stress. You can also always accept a
And that's also sorry.
Go on.
I got really excited. Pushing yourself for extra effect is how you can get your way out of zero effect situations.
Yeah.
Where it's like, normally this wouldn't be able to do anything. I'm going to push it, so now I at least have limited effect. So you go up from this would have been impossible to, I'm going to kick Reason to the curb and fucking do it. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but you did it because you pushed yourself. Right. Sorry.
Yeah,
now...
and then the GM can also offer you a devil's bargain where, like, you can, I think, you if you succeed, you know, you accept the extra die, and also you have to pay this narrative price. So, like, all of those things. Like, the Devil's Bargain is part of the thing that gives it the dread sense, because sometimes that can be overtly supernatural. Also, the whole Whisper playbook.
And the clocks,
yes,
too.
Clocks are also fantastic.
Visual countdown of something's coming.
Yeah.
Blades is good.
Blades is good. Blades is also very punk.
Is good.
So here's the thing about Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Shadowrun kind of sucks. Sorry, everybody who really loves Shadowrun. Because sucks at being punk. Let me put it that way. Because, like, you know, sucks is sort of very subjective, and I'm trying not to be too subjective here. Shadowrun sucks at being punk because it is just really kind of just a plain old traditional game with a fighting system and other systems. And it doesn't really enforce anything punk in its rules. Not like the way fronts work, not like the way clocks work, not like the way positioning works or tiers.
It's just fighting in math,
it's a fighting in math game. Or at least not as far as I can remember anyway, because Shadowrun has so many ding-dang rules. And it's been a minute since I've read them. So I'm happy to be wrong. If I am wrong about systems in Shadowrun that feel punk or encourage like the idea of fighting against the system or like scarcity or having to DIY stuff, tell us. We would like to know. So I guess I'm saying consider how the feel of an outcast or fringe person or how fighting the system matters to your rules. And getting that right is hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, you may have to get meta with it and consider the rules that you have, and maybe there's some way to like change the division of power with these rules.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough, and I'm not very good at it. That's why Monica's here.
I'm available for hire. Shoot an email.
Monica?
Yeah.
Monica, where can they find our show?
They can find our show at bxpcast.com, part of the Misdirected Mark Network.
Bing! What about email?
If they want to hire us, or have us on their show, or tell us that we were wrong about Shadowrun's mechanics, they can email us at bonusexpcast@gmail.com. And I do check it every so often.
Dave's spouting hate in our Discord.
I mean...
He says alignments are cool and fun. Put them in your game.
I mean, he also thought that Fenneman's Curiosity Cola tasted like dog balls, so he can't be trusted.
That's not what he said. He said it was the dog's bollocks.
Oh, I misread it then.
No, okay, if something is bollocks, it's bad. But if it's the dog's bollocks, it is good.
All right, well,
yes.
I didn't understand his Irishness. Anyway.
All right, how do they email us?
I already said it.
Oh, okay. How do they tweet us?
They can tweet at us telling me how wrong I am at Bonus EXP Cast on Twitter. The word sex is in it.
Dave says I'm cool and fun. Dave says you should put me in your game. If you wanted to put me in your game, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Ray_Cole.
Don't put me in your game, but do hire me to write it. And you can slide into my DMs on Twitter at XenaSun.
All right, cool. Hey, my husband's probably going to be home soon. I have to go get him some fried chicken and some rum.
I have to go. It's our game night. It's not Blaze and
Dark. Oh, shit!
We did it last week. We're playing Henry's game. We're sort of playtesting it. We're at 50 minutes. We should stop.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody get out.
All right. Come on. Get out. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Change it if you want to.
Change it if you want to.
I'm practicing with, can I get away from my... Change it if you want to. How did that... Was that good, Margaret?
It was fun. I liked it.
Change it if you want to.
Do I have to do this? Ugh, fine. Bonus Experience is written and produced by Monica and Ray, and edited by Margaret. Our logo and art is by Nino Studios. Find her on Facebook and Instagram. Our theme song is Reuse Noise with the Light by CDK and is used under the Attribution Non-Commercial Creative Commons license. BXP is part of the Misdirected Mark Network. I'm not reading this fucking... Bye.